Hi, folks. This is Rick Doc Walker, the DOC.
This is John Kime, and you're listening to the Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted.
What's going on, Rally? How you been, man?
Hey, I'm always good. Even when I'm not good, I'm good. And with that being said, let's get it.
I hear you there, man. I hear you there. I am curious, so when are you not good, man? It's one of the beauties of doing this show with you. If I'm in a bad mood, I know you're always in a good one for the most part. Even when we get our ass kicked, you've always got something to smile about, or maybe that's just the persona you give off on here. But when I've seen you in person and we're getting whooped or something's going on, I still always see a smile on your face. So I'm curious, what's going on?
It's called life, Ted. It's life.
I got you.
I see, I'm not this new generation. I grew up getting my butt kicked. So I know what it means to win, and I definitely know what it means to lose. And when you lose, it's not a reflection of you. You just got to keep it moving, because ultimately, I always tell people, yes, I don't like for our team to lose, but at the same time, I have so much more to be happy about than just an L for an adult's game that they're getting paid handsomely. Not me, they are.
Oh yeah, no, it costs us money. They are making money off of our
yeah.
happiness and misery for the most part. And now I think I told the story on one of our past shows about how I sat in my seat crying after we lost to the Kansas City Chiefs when they got their first win, and I want to say a season and a half. And at that point I realized I can't let this, I mean, this was maybe 15 years ago. Like, I can't let this game affect me. And there was a picture of me on the Washington Post sports section, just sitting in the stands with my head in my hands and the entire stadium empty. Like, you know what? It doesn't phase these players, and they're the ones that are actually playing the game. I can't let it bother me as much as it had in the past. Does it still hurt? Oh, hell yeah. Do I still get pissed? Yeah, hell yeah. I know you do too, but I can't let it ruin my day, my outlook, or affect my outside life.
Yep. And it just goes back to all of the, since 2014, when I really started to go to game, I mean, home and away games. And I made an effort. And, you know, one of those seasons we were like 3-13. And one of the things that people always said to me is, dude, why do you want to continue to spend your money on a losing product? And I said, wait a minute, whose money is it?
Amen.
It's my money. And I enjoy traveling. The game, once again, is just a small aspect of my travels. So I don't let it bother me. You know, of course, I want us to win every game, but realistically, we can't. So in growing up, I didn't win every game. So I know how to go ahead and take a back seat and put my feelings behind and just smile, man. I mean, because if I smile, that's gonna make somebody else smile. And I saw you smiling. See, it's contagious.
Well, I'm smiling because we got something to look forward to this weekend, and I'm not talking about the Cowboys versus Commanders game. I'm talking about hanging out with my boy Fred Smoot at Guy Fieri's Kitchen and Bar. I'm rocking their hoodie right now. For our friends at Woodward's Collectibles, they've got a signing with Fred. We've been hyping this thing up for the past couple of months, and it's finally here. It was kind of in limbo because the game wasn't declared date-wise yet. It was either going to be Saturday or Sunday. Well, when we lost, and when Dallas finally had someone to play for, they decided to move the game to Sunday at 4:25. The Eagles and the Giants are playing the exact same time. That way, no one can kind of tank the game to try and help the other guy out or vice versa. But the good news is that means that Smoot is going to be at Guy Fieri's Kitchen and Bar DC downtown in Chinatown, right there connected to Verizon Center, signing autographs, taking pictures, and I'm sure having a couple of cocktails with our listeners and anyone else that feels like showing up.
And that's the beautiful thing about Fred Smoot. I mean, he always gives back. And the other good thing is, you know, all of his autographs that he's going to be signing are $25. You know, they'll have Woodbridge Collectibles will have their items like a jersey. They'll be signed for like $70, 8x10 photos, $35. They'll have assorted mini helmets, and they're going for $65 upward to $150. So if you're not busy, Saturday, January the 7th, from 1 to 2 at Guy Fieri's Kitchen and Bar, you might want to stop by and say hello to Fred, have a cocktail, a hamburger or something like that, burger and fries, and have a good time with everyone.
Yeah. And for those that don't know, there's a sports book right underneath and connected to Guy Fieri's. So you could go there, watch the 1 o'clock NFL games, watch the earlier games, put a couple bets down, hang out, and then maybe pay for your season tickets next year. You know, or maybe pay for some of those SBEvents.net trips while man rally next season. So go on out there, go support Fred. More importantly, go support Woodbridge Collectibles. But they've got something else going on too, man. You got the details on that?
Well, so yeah. So for all of my Tana Man fans, and for those who don't know, who you should know who Tana Man is, Santana Moss. Santana Moss is actually going to be in Pembroke Bingo Hall, and that's in Lansdowne Center in Virginia Beach. And he's going to be there Saturday, February 25th. And the time hasn't been determined just yet, but just put this on your calendar. February 25th at the Pembroke Bingo Hall. Sports card, comic books, and they're going to have a collectible show. So, and that's going to be in Virginia Beach. So for all of our listeners down in Virginia Beach, or if you are planning a getaway down to Virginia Beach, stop by Saturday, February 25th at the Pembroke Bingo Hall to see Santana Moss. And Santana Moss, the beautiful thing about him is he'll be able to tell you a story while signing something. And anything that he signs is going to be $30. Can't beat it.
They're also going to have Howard Johnson, a baseball player, and Dwight Gooden there. So, I mean, to be able to get Dwight Gooden there too, I mean, we got all types of fans and people from all different types of sports listening. So if you got any baseball fans out there, it's going to be a big show. It's not just going to be Woodbridge Collectibles. They're going to be a part of it. Go out there, check it out. The guys had a great showing with Clinton Portis down there last time in Bob Beach. I mean, Woodbridge Collectibles is doing some things, and we're happy to be affiliated with them. We're thankful for them as a sponsor. And we're not doing anything postseason wise. Granted, it's February 25th, but I might think about taking a trip to the beach just to get the hell away from this DC weather.
I'm definitely thinking about it.
But
we
you
need
know
a
who
break,
else?
bro.
Oh yeah,
we need a break.
We definitely do. And you know who might be getting a break this weekend? We got a lot of Commanders on this injury report. So for those wondering, it's Wednesday, January 4th. It's 4:12 in the afternoon. Man, looking at this list, this is who wasn't at practice today. It actually might be easier for me to tell you who was at practice, but this is who wasn't at practice. Right. Brian Robinson, not there. Antonio Gibson, not there. John Allen, not there. Benjamin St. Juste, not there. Cam Curl, not there. Jamin Davis, not there. Andrew Norwell, not there. Sadiq Charles, Cornelius Lucas, and James Smith-Williams. So if you're counting, we've got our RB1 and RB2 out. Does that mean they won't play this week? No. But for me, if they're banged up or even questionable, why risk it? You know, you got Jared Patterson, Jonathan Williams, let those guys get reps. John Allen has that hyperextended knee. He was on with the Sports Junkies this Tuesday morning, talked about how he was okay, but this game means nothing this weekend. I don't want John to risk further injury. Benjamin St. Juste has not been healthy in weeks. What does bringing him back versus Dallas get you other than maybe some pride? The new one on here that's kind of shocking to me is Jamin Davis. So what are we going to do at linebacker? Because we got Nicole Holcomb and we put John Bostic on IR. So it's David Mayo and maybe rally captain suiting up at midfield playing linebacker. I don't know, man.
Not I, Popeye.
Good news is no Andrew Norwell. So the offensive line might actually do better this week without your starting guard. but Cornelius Lucas is out. So regardless, we got a lot of guys banged up this week in a matchup that technically means nothing. It's Dallas week, so it always means something, but realistically, what do we get out of winning this game?
My man. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. And here's the thing. Dallas still is playing for something. Albeit the Commanders may not be playing for anything. Dallas is playing for something. So they are going to bring their A game. And you know what? I was against the kid starting, but I got bashed. I got hit over the head. So you know what? I'm like Ron Rivera. Go ahead and start the kid. He didn't want nobody wanted to start the kid. Even Logan Paulson said don't start the kid. But B. Mitch beat him over the head. JP Finley beat him over the head. I heard
D'Angelo Hall beat him over
the head. Everybody beat him over the head. So you know what? Have at it, guys.
All I'm going to say, those that don't know what Rally's talking about, Sam Howell is officially starting on Sunday. Now, let's backtrack here a little bit. Last episode, Rally and I got into a debate on should Howell start or Heinicke start. Those of you haven't listened, go back and listen. I don't know what the hell you're doing. You're killing us right now, but just go back and listen. Fast forward, Rally wanted Heinicke to start and then Howell to come in. I wanted Howell to start the entire time. Well, today at 9:03 a.m., Jeremy Fowler from ESPN sent out a tweet, said, the Commanders are expected to turn back to Taylor Heinicke as a starter for Sunday's season finale versus the Cowboys. But rookie quarterback Sam Howell is also slated to play, marking the NFL debut for the 5th round pick per source. Barring change of plans, this will be the setup. So all of DC went crazy because it was up in the air. No one really knew yet. We knew what should happen in our own minds, but no one knew what the official thing was. And Ron Rivera likes to leak to the national media what he wants to do. He doesn't want to reward the local beat reporters for whatever reason. So he'll tell Adam Schefter something, but not tell John Keim, who's been covering this team day in and day out, hours upon hours, which makes no sense to me. And part of why I've got an issue with Rivera. Well, Jeremy, you were wrong. And Ron Rivera came out and changed his mind. And this is actually what Coach said today during his press conference this afternoon.
Well, I hate to go back to football after that, but with quarterback, what are your plans?
Well, our plans is we're going to start with Sam. I spoke with the coaches, talked to some of the team leaders, and and talked with some others about it. And we feel that this is an opportunity for us to give Sam a chance to show us what he's capable of. I think that the opportunity is going to be a good one for him to go out and play football and just kind of show us. I mean, we're not going to judge everything on Sam based on just one game. We are going to get an opportunity to see him and see how he prepares and gives himself the opportunity to play.
So, question for you. Do you think he changed his mind because of all the social media backlash? Or do you think he changed his mind because it's just his prerogative?
He changed his mind because he got browbitten. He changed his mind because everyone and their mom, except for the captain and Logan Paulson, said don't start him. But so everyone basically gave their opinion, and I heard some good reasons of why they should start him. And I my thing is this: I'm not gonna go against it. If it's once again, it goes back to not being that invested anymore. So before, I was trying to spare the kids' feelings. So basically, what we had in preseason was, you said it, we had third stringers playing against third stringers. Well, now it looks like we're going to have third stringers playing against first stringers.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what, yeah.
That's exactly what we're going to have.
Well, we're going to have third stringers playing against first stringers. Now, can they still win this ball game? Yes, they can, because you know why they can win this ball game? Because Dallas plays down to their competition. They always do, and you never know. Sam could squeak out a win.
He could.
It's highly unlikely.
Squeak out a win.
It's highly unlikely, but he can squeak out a win. So somebody said, trial by fire. And I said, okay, that works in movies, but not in real life. So everyone, you're going to have your wish. And all I hope is that the kid succeeds and shows you what everyone's been saying that he needs to show.
So according to Ron, this is who changed his mind.
Uh-huh.
You mentioned you kind of slept on it after thinking Heinicke. Was there someone in particular that changed your mind or made a point to you that was like, oh, that resonated with you?
There were several people I talked to that gave me some ideas and some thoughts, and I really, I just wanted to make sure I was weighing all the options and opportunities and reasons why. I mean, there's enough reasons why to start him and enough reasons why not to. And it's just a matter of, at the end of the day, he's going to get an opportunity to play. Why not just start from the beginning more so than anything else?
And you and I talked about this before, but for those of our listeners that didn't go back, it's like my reasoning to start Howell was this game means nothing. You need to get experience somehow, get experience in a game that cannot hurt you in the standings or anything long-term. He eventually needs to understand the speed of the game. The speed of the game in an actual game, you cannot replicate that in OTAs, mini camp, practice, or training camp. So you can only get that in a game. Going against your defense gets you nothing. Running scout team gets you nothing other than mental reps, and basically you're working on footwork and things like that. So start him because this game means nothing. You had other fans out there that said, well, let Heinicke play and then we'll just go to Howell, which is what you said. Mm-hmm. My rationale to not do that is odds are we are going to be down at that point in time when you put Howell in. And then you're going to give the Cowboys a chance to not care what you play call, meaning you're going to have to pass the ball. So there's no sense of illusion to the play calling. And granted, it's Scott Turner, so there isn't anyway. But there is no threat of the run if Howell comes in and we're down by 2 scores. You know that you're going to be in a passing situation. So a defense won't stay true to a play action fake. They won't stay true to a bootleg and a rollout or this and that. They're just going to pin their ears back and come after the kid. I want to actually see how they do. Now, granted, with a patchwork offensive line and with other receivers and tight ends that won't be starters down the road. But right now, and I'm not a fan for tanking by any means, you win every game. Mm-hmm. But right now you have a chance that is somewhat priceless to see what not just Howell, but what other young men can potentially do given the opportunity. And this is what Rivera said when he was asked that question about who else he was looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, we're going to look to play some of our younger guys and give some opportunities, and see who they are, and we'll go from there.
Anybody else you're excited to get a glimpse at?
Oh yeah, there's several young guys that we want to get some more opportunities to and put them out on the field. Chris Paul is a young man that we want to take a really good look at. We want to continue to look at those young tight ends. We know who the receiving group is. Defensively, we got some young defensive linemen we want to take a look at, and we'll get a chance to see them continue. And some of the young DBs.
It sucks. Don't get me wrong. This sucks, man. It's Dallas week. We're honoring Sonny Jurgensen, and this is a preseason game, basically, that we are going to go witness on Sunday, where our stadium is going to be 80% Cowboys fans.
Yep. Well, only thing I can say, Ted, is, hey, brother, you rubbed that crystal ball or that lamp, and that genie came out, and he gave you your wish, bro. But here's my question that I'm going to ask you.
Sure.
And this goes to our listeners as well. Now, how well would you say 7 months to 8 months would you retain what you learned today? Would you say you would retain it pretty much? You would remember?
If I'm going through a bunch of different reps constantly, yeah, I'd say I would pretty much retain what I've gone through. Now, it also depends on what we're talking about. Are we talking about, rocket science, or are we talking about algebra?
Hey, hey, man, just your general. If a girl told you her name would you remember it almost 7 to 8 months from now?
Probably not, man, because I'm horrible
All right.
with names. But no,
Okay.
I hear you. I get your analogy.
Okay,
I
well,
see where
no,
you're
no,
going.
no, 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 no. Let me finish my statement,
All right.
brother. All right. Do you think that this one game is going to carry Sam over until the new year, and he's going to say, oh, you know what? I do remember 7 months ago, 8 months ago when I played Dallas that this happened. I don't think that it's going to transfer over. It very rarely does from season to season. Now,
I don't agree with you with that aspect.
Okay.
It's not about that transferring over. It is about getting experience. So I'm gonna change this up a little bit, right?
All right.
So you're a young Rally, right? And you know,
when are we talking about? What year are we talking?
we're talking about a young Rally that hasn't been with another person before, right? This is Virgin Rally coming out.
All
right. So we're going there.
Okay.
You remember your first time, right? And you remember the speed and how it went and everything else the first time. It's about experience and then moving on from there. Sam needs to get that experience and that first time out of the way. So then the next time he can improve and then improve and improve more from that. And you get better and better at it.
I would agree with you if there was hypothetically a month lull, 3-week lull. I would agree with you on that. But dude, 8 months from now.
It's not 8 months though, man.
7.
It's not.
Games. When's the season start?
OTAs, mini camps. These guys do not have that time off.
No. You see, you said game speed.
Yes,
OTAs is not OTAs is not game speed.
No, it's not.
Minicamp is not game speed.
Not even close.
We're talking about game speed, and that's what I'm talking about. Now, once again, hey, the young man is going to start, and I wish him the best. I'm going to say a couple prayers for him. Once we get off of the podcast and before the game, I'm going to say some prayers for him. But I do not believe, in my humble opinion, Rally Captain only, because I can only speak for myself. I don't see how he's going to, yes, he is going to say, we can maybe talk to his grandkids one day. Guys, I started against the Dallas Cowboys in 2023. Okay, but as far as going back to, I say hypothetically September 1 or September 11th, whenever the first game of the season is, I don't think this game is going to mean a hill of beans to him.
I don't agree.
Hill of beans, bro.
I don't agree. You have to get experience somehow. You have to get those reps somehow. And it has to start. And this is actually what Rivera said on, why wasn't it an automatic decision?
Ron, what have you seen from Sam this season to get to this point? What was your without sharing too much, what was your conversation with Sam like?
Well, I will say this. My initial was, like I said earlier to Ben's question, was I had thought about going with Taylor and actually talked to him about that. And then after having an opportunity to rethink and talk with some other folks about it, talk to some of the team leaders and other players and coaches for that matter, it really came down to finding out about the young man. So when I sat down with him, we talked about it. He was excited. And I said, look, you're ready? And he was, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready to roll. Well, if you go back and look when Carson was first injured and had surgery, he became the primary backup. So watching Sam every day and getting a chance to watch how he performed against the defense and those little detail things I talked about that I felt he had to work on coming out of training camp, you could see that he was doing those things. He was working. He was getting a feel for that. And a lot of times, when you're doing scout team, that's a good indicator as to how guys can develop and grow. And it was very interesting because a couple of guys that I talked with today, one of the things that they did say was they felt he was ready for his opportunity, and this would be a good chance to watch him. So I think that was a big part of the reason too, as well, is that just how people felt based on the things that we saw, during that stretch, that those 5.5, 6 weeks that he was the primary backup. You got a chance to see him compete every day against the number ones.
So my bad, wrong clip, but that's what Ron saw in Howell to allow other people to change his mind, to allow other players to change his mind. And John Allen actually said on the Sports Junkies that it would make sense to see Sam Howell in this game. He didn't say start because he's not going to offend Heinicke or Wentz or anyone else, but that it made sense. So Rivera, from my standpoint, I have been against Ron Rivera for the past 2 seasons because I don't think a coach-centric approach is the way to long-term success for this franchise or any franchise. And for those that don't know, the hierarchy goes Ron Rivera and then his GMs and everyone else reporting to him. So Ron Rivera has the long-term vision of this franchise and the short-term vision of this franchise in mind. 9 out of 10 franchises have a GM that have the long-term vision, and then you have a coach reporting to that GM. Your GM is setting you up for the future. Your coach is setting you up for immediate success. Well, the fact that Rivera had to go to his players and people outside the organization to help him make this decision shows that he is incapable of being the head guy in this organization. But regardless, he's here. He's what we have. He's not going anywhere. This year, 2024, I'm throwing a party when Rivera gets fired, which sounds absolutely horrible, but I will be happy when he is gone because that means we can finally move out of limbo as a fan base, hopefully. Now, a lot of people have been asking, did Dan Snyder get involved in this or Tanya? And this is what Rivera said.
Did ownership get involved in this, or was it strictly coaches?
No, this was done by everybody in that office, in that facility, and a couple of special people that I rely on for their input.
I'm not one of those special people. For anyone that just heard that is wondering, trust me, they hate my ass over there. So he definitely didn't listen to me.
I thought you may have cooked him something, and he said, "You know what? Sure, since Ted brought it to me, I'll make Sam the starter."
No, but you keep mentioning Logan, and one thing about Logan, and I respect Logan. We played his clips here. I listened to the Take Command podcast. I used to have a TV segment over Redskins Park. You cannot say what you really want to say about this team when you are over there and you're working over there. So you obviously listened to B. Mitch and Finley today. And for those of our listeners that don't know, they're on 106.7 The Fan. We're talking about Brian Mitchell and JP Finley. You heard D'Angelo Hall come on and talk about that he wanted Howell to play. At least I'm assuming you did.
Yes.
So you heard D. Hall come on. Now,
Yes.
It's funny that for those that don't know, D. Hall used to be the play-by-play guy inside the booth with Bram and Julie on the team's radio broadcast. You get neutered doing that. You cannot say really what you're thinking because part of your paycheck is coming from that organization.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, out of all due respect to Logan, when he is talking about wanting Heinicke to start over Howell, and for these different reasons, they have an agenda that is given to them by people in the organization. And
I'll agree with you on that.
when I am looking to buy a car or a TV or whatever it may be, I'm not looking at the website from that manufacturer to see their reviews. I'm going to third-party sites or looking at different stuff to try and understand, is this a good product? I'll listen to, Brian Mitchell. I'll listen to D'Angelo Hall. I'll listen to John Keim and other people when we're talking about the Commanders. And then I will come up to my own decision based upon that feedback. When I'm trying to get information on the team, and Julie's a friend, I'm sorry, I don't go to their programming. It's not where I get information for anything on this team because it is biased, unbelievably biased. Talk about skin tangibles from Larry Michael for 20 plus years. It might not be called skin tangibles, but it's the same thing. It's still biased.
I remember the skin tangibles.
So do I, man. So do I. And I miss Larry and doing shows, but
Yeah. I hear you, man. And one of the whole reasons why D'Angelo had to leave, he decided to leave because he could not report what he says was true reporting for the team, because like you said, there's a conflict of interest, basically. I mean, so I get it. And no, I'm not getting paid from the team. So I feel I can say what I want to say. And I felt that, hey, the kid shouldn't start. You should bring him in, not necessarily after the game is blown away, because so something that you said that I'm thinking about, you said, why bring them in when all they're going to do is pin their ears back, or the game is pretty much at a point where all they can do is pin their ears back and go after them. Well, now that they know that a rook's in, they're really going to pin their ears back and go after them. So nothing is going to change. It's going to be the same thing. So
not necessarily, because you have the threat of the run game. If the score is 0-0, or if it's still a one-game score, if you're down by 14 points, you lose the threat of a run game. You have the threat of potentially Jonathan Williams or Jarrett Patterson on a draw. You want to come after me? Then this will truly tell us, and granted, Scott Turner is bad at his job, but this will truly tell us how bad Scott Turner is, because if he cannot adjust his game plan and dumb it down and simplify it, you know what Dallas is going to do. Dallas is playing for something. Robin, one of our listeners, actually said, well, maybe Dallas won't be playing their starters. I hate to break it to people that don't follow what's going on in football, but Dallas is 12-4. The Eagles are 13-3. The games are played at the exact same time, because if the Eagles lose to the Giants and if the Cowboys beat the Commanders, then Dallas will be 5-1 in division, giving them the tiebreaker over the Eagles, giving them the NFC East and a home playoff game. Yeah. Dallas has everything to play for. So they are not going to go easy on us. They're not going to cut us a break. So those fans that were hoping and wondering, sorry, that ain't going to happen. So this game means everything to them, and that's why they're being played at the exact same time, and we'll truly get to see. Now, Scott Turner can call a draw. He can call a screen. He can do some different things inside there to slow down that Dallas rush. Maybe an end around, something to keep those defensive ends honest. Now, we didn't do it whatever time we played them earlier on the season. So are we going to do it now? I don't know. The good news is the Cowboys don't have tape on Sam Howell. They have his college tape, which does not translate. So that is one thing we have in our favor, where they've already played Heinicke a handful of times and they know what to do to stop him. So
I agree.
That is a positive and potentially, how helping us win this game. But for you, it wasn't a slam dunk to start Sam Howell. For the same thing for Ron Rivera. This is actually what he said about it.
Play.
And obviously, there was some thought about Taylor and then Sam.
Right.
What does it come down to, and what were some of the, I guess, maybe concerns with just automatically going to Sam?
Well, I think at first initially is obviously it would be his first start, and it would become a little bit of a circus, having to deal with all the things that come with being a starter. But also, you look at the opponent and who you're playing and what they're playing for. Going with Taylor would have given us an opportunity to see what they're doing, how they're doing it, and would have given Sam a chance to take a look at it, if we had gone with Taylor. But, at the end of the day, at some point, if Sam ever gets the opportunity to be a starter, this would be the chance. Why not get it over with now and go from there? But the most important thing is that we're really intrigued in terms of watching and seeing what Sam can do as a quarterback in this league.
So you and Coach were on the same wavelength. You guys were thinking the same thing. Go to Heinicke. And it does not surprise me if that's why they changed his mind. And Eric Bickle from the Sports Junkies actually tweeted this out earlier. Let me see if I can find it. And it kind of cracked me up when he did this. And those that don't know, the Sports Junkies are the local sports talk station they've been on for over 20 plus years. And this was after John Keim said that this will be interesting to see who takes first quarterback reps at practice. While the Heinicke-Howell combo was a definitive lean, could still decide to just go with Howell. Lots to consider. EB put a smiling emoji laughing. So predictable. Ron floats Taylor starting, then here's the backlash, and now is backtracking. Ron should run for office. He'd fit right in. Embarrassing. And maybe Rivera would have an easier job getting Speaker of the House than Kevin McCarthy, but that's a different podcast.
I got to tell you, man, at some point in time, you stick to your guns. And that's why I said that I do believe that his tenure here is up.
Rivera?
Yeah, not this year, but next year, because
I hope, man.
a new owner will come in and I'm sure change some things if and when that happens. But you can't flip flop, dude. You just can't.
Agreed.
And so that flip flop just shows uncertainty. And if I'm a player, how can I realistically get behind that? And I listened to what some of the players said. Well, talking about San Francisco and how he brought Wentz in because he thought that he was going to provide a spark, and the body language did not concur with the verbal. So I just saw that all day long. But here we are, and he changed it, and I am hoping that Sam Howell gets 200 yards rushing on scramble, just like Daniel Jones eats us up. I think that that's going to play heavy into this game.
It's going to have to be the game plan for Howell to use his legs, because we're thin at offensive line. We're going to have Chris Paul coming in, potentially playing, and he hasn't played all season. So
the comedian Chris Paul.
Chris Paul, the comedian, is actually a good friend of mine. I miss him big time, man.
Oh, me too.
So he used to do the Redskins songs on WPGC, for those that don't know. But hey, he could probably block a couple people too, man. I mean, Chris is he's a hefty, stout dude.
Yeah, he's a hefty dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I think stout's not as offensive as hefty, but yeah, I hear what you're saying. So it's just
no offense, Chris, if you're listening.
Yeah. Well, this is actually what Howell said was his biggest challenge this Sunday.
Practice reps versus regular season reps, obviously completely different. What do you think is going to be your biggest challenge on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, I think just trying to get up to game speed. I think game speed always is a little different, and I mean, I haven't played a game since the preseason, but I've been staying locked in mentally through the games and trying to play the game from the sideline each and every game. It can be hard at times, but I feel like I've done a good job of that all year long, so I feel like I'll be all right.
You meant.
So it's those mental reps that they like to talk about when you got a guy that's sitting on the sideline that, gets his shot to come in. And we saw what Carson did with those mental reps when he got in for that Browns game after getting him all those weeks.
Don't make me laugh, dude.
I mean,
if I was a reporter, I would have asked Ron, and we talked about this on the previous pod. I would have asked Ron, are you guys practicing your silent count with all the Cowboy fans that are going to be in FedEx Field? Have you practiced your silent count with Sam? I mean, he's got a lot to take in, but is that one of the things you've practiced? Because I'm telling you, it's going to be loud.
Oh yeah, it's going to be loud. It's going to be ugly. It's going to rain on top of it. Yeah, they moved us to 4:00. Yeah, and they're talking for 60% chance of rain now in the afternoon. So my boys sent me a screenshot. Like, all right, well, it's going to rain in the afternoon. Thinking, oh, perfect. We got a 9 a.m. tailgate. It's like, damn. They moved the game to 4. The tailgate's at noon. We're probably going to get some rain on us. So we'll see what happens there. But it's not going to be fun, man. But at least we have, I guess from my standpoint, at least I've got something to look forward to in seeing what Howell can do potentially. And by no means, and Rivera said it himself, he is not going to be judged on this one game. But seeing what the only quarterback you have under contract can do next season is a positive. Heinicke is not under contract. And RG3 actually said this on the Sports Junkies on Monday during his interview. They should not bring Heinicke back. They should let Heinicke go. Reason being, if you bring in another veteran quarterback, the second he throws an interception, and I'm paraphrasing, but the second he throws an interception or the second he does something wrong, everyone on those stands is going to start yelling for Heinicke. So he will not get a fair shot if Heinicke is the backup, because you have fans like Sabah and others out there that think that Heinicke is the future. I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you. Anyone that has actually played football and has watched this game and understands what's going on knows that Heinicke is not a starter in the NFL. He is a 500 quarterback and a serviceable backup. So they're saying, let Heinicke walk. And I agree, you should let Heinicke walk. Before the season started, I stated that Heinicke should not be on this team next year, and Sam Howell will take his job as backup quarterback because Heinicke is a free agent. Why pay Heinicke what Howell can do. And the comparisons is Howell is Heinicke with an arm.
Okay.
Howell can run.
I agree. I definitely agree with you, man. You won't hear any disagreements from me on that end of the spectrum. And once again, and I'm going to speak this to ad nauseum, I hope the kid does well Sunday in the rain. I hope he does. And I'm looking forward to it. So I've jumped on the Tailgate Ted bandwagon, and now I'm ready to see what the young man can do wholeheartedly. And I'm not being funny. I'm not being facetious. I'm seriously now. I want to see what he can do, because the talk is Derek Carr is going to come in and be the veteran quarterback. That's what they're talking. I don't know how true that is, but no one knows. Yeah, well, I'm saying no one knows, but everyone's saying that that's the most likely landing spot for Derek Carr is the Commanders. So we're gonna take it one step at a time, get past this Sunday, see how the kid does, and then we'll talk about that at a later time. But I'm interested to see how he really does. I want to see him. I want to see him be able to adapt to the speed of the game and be able to get it done with his legs. And he's fresh, he's young, he's spry. So he's got that scared, that fight or flight. He's got that inside of him. So more so than I think Heinicke or Wentz ever would have had. So he's going to be on his toes. Matter of fact, you know what I'm calling him? I'm calling him Willie Beeman. He's Willie Beeman for Week 18 for the Commanders.
Hey, Willie had a successful career. Granted, it was a movie, but he had a successful career. He threw his arm out. But going back to Derek Carr real quick, for those that don't know, he's under contract until 2025 for the Raiders. And you're not the only one saying that. A lot of people that have heard that. A lot of people have heard people talk about it. He's got a $35 million cap number next year. The Commanders would have to trade to get him. We already gave up 2 draft picks to get Carson Wentz. At a certain point, you only have so many draft picks. So that's what scares me. And this is actually what Rivera said about QB1 next season.
And now that you've been in the coach-centric philosophy for 3 seasons, just what are your thoughts on how it's gone, and if anything has caught you off guard or something you've particularly enjoyed about that structure for the franchise?
Well, I think the biggest thing that's been the toughest thing right now is really being able to solidify the QB1 spot. I mean, that's something that we're continuing working. I believe Ben said that this offseason he'll be helping us to look for the QB1. And that's the thing that we got to do. I mean, that's I was asked that question, about 8-9 weeks ago. What's the difference? Well, that's the one position that we've got to solidify going forward more so than anything else.
So you have Heinicke, who is an unrestricted free agent at the end of this year, and you're talking about still needing to solidify QB1. So to me, that means Heinicke ain't QB1. But what scares me is that means that Ron Rivera and this inept staff is going to be looking for QB1 next season. And is it Sam Howell? I don't think so. I don't think Sam Howell is a long-term for this team. He was a 5th round pick. The odds, I'm just going on odds, the odds of a 5th round pick that after Sunday will have only played 1 game in the NFL being your long-term starter, they're not good. But does he have the potential? Yes, he has potential, but you're going to have to bring other quarterbacks in to compete with him because you only have 1 quarterback on the roster. So if we win on Sunday, we get the 20th pick in the NFL draft. If we win. If we lose, we get the 10th pick in the NFL draft. So can you get a better quarterback at 10? Yes, obviously.
Of course.
But is there going to be a good quarterback at 10? I don't know. And that's for a different podcast down the road when we talk about the draft and have some other people on that follow that stuff. But there are going to be at least 2 other quarterbacks on this roster going to the next season because you just need the competition. Howell just can't throw every ball to every receiver. And he doesn't even have a rapport with Terry McLaurin and the other guys. So this is actually what he talked about working with Terry and Curtis and Jahan.
What's your rapport like with Terry and Curtis, some of those receivers that you might not have had as many reps with over the year?
Yeah, I mean, I today, really in practice, was my first time getting the opportunity to throw to those guys. And all three of them are really good players. I got to throw to Jahan some when we first got here as rookies, but Terry and Curtis really not that much. So it was fun to get out there with those guys and throw those guys a couple balls today. And we'll be working hard all week to make sure we have our time right and everything.
So I'm trying not to laugh, but for those of you out there that were thinking about putting a couple bets in on Terry McLaurin for any yardage or anything like that, I would hold off on that because I don't think Terry is going to get a lot this week. But more importantly, this is actually what Rivera said about Terry and some of the guys actually playing for the game.
Will Terry and kind of the receivers play a full workload, like to support Hal?
Well, for the most part, they'll come in, they'll play, and as the game unfolds, we'll go from there.
So I think that means Terry's going to start. Will Terry finish the first quarter? I don't think so.
Unless he keeps us in the ball game 0-0.
I still don't see it. And what I do see is you can and this is not a gambling podcast by any means. I mean, I've hit maybe 4 or 5 bets for 17 weeks, so don't listen to me. But Sam Howell did play with De'Ami Brown at UNC. So De'Ami Brown has been kind of a bust so far. They do have a connection. You can probably get De'Ami Brown on a couple of prop bets for cheap out there to actually get him to pay out a decent amount. I'll see if I can pull up FanDuel right now and see what it says. So that might be a play for those of you out there that like to gamble, or if you're going to go to the Fred Smoot signing at Guy Fieri's over there by Caesar Sportsbook, maybe think about putting a bet in on De'Ami Brown for a couple of yards.
Yeah, like you said, this is not by any means a gambling podcast, so don't listen to me because goodness knows I've lost some money. So I'm gonna just stay mum. Mum's the word on this one, Ted. I'm leaving that alone, brother.
I don't blame you. I just want you to know, in case you were thinking about putting a bet in on Terry or some of the other guys, this is an evaluation game. And I don't think that you're going to see Terry out there for long. I don't think you're going to see Curtis Samuel out there for long or Jahan out there, because why risk those guys getting injured in week 18 in a meaningless game? And then they don't even have a lot of time to heal or get better. So what do we have to look forward to? We got to look forward to potentially a young quarterback starting and making the most out of his actual appearance. This is actually the 5th consecutive season that we have started 3 different quarterbacks. And I'm looking at, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, all I can do is just SMH.
And that's the problem, is we're going to be in this predicament looking for different quarterbacks until we find that one. And it's like winning the lottery, the Mega Millions. I bought $40 worth of tickets. I'm just guessing I didn't win because I saw that no one won. I might have got $4. I haven't looked at the ticket yet. But
then you're a winner.
Yeah, I don't think it works that way, man.
then you're a winner. If you won $4, then you're a winner, man.
Yeah, I said I might have. I haven't actually looked at the ticket yet. But, it's just, this was a tweet from Denton Day. Denton does some stuff on 106.7. Said, if Terry McLaurin catches a pass from Sam Howell Sunday, that will be the 10th quarterback to throw him a pass in not even 4 full years. I mean, that's just how crazy our quarterback situation's been here in Washington. And we're in QB purgatory for whatever reason. And I know you saw that. Well, I'm assuming you listened to the clip from Married with Children that B. Mitch and JP played on their show, or did you not hear that?
I didn't hear it.
All right. So let me see if I can pull this up on here. And it's actually kind of funny because the Simpsons usually kind of predict what's going on. Well, this was a clip from Married with Children. And those that don't know, that was a TV show that was on years and years and years ago on Fox. That was kind of, I guess, raunchy, if you will.
Racy, raunchy. Yeah.
So this was Al Bundy. And I apologize for anyone that gets offended by this.
Here we are, boys. City of brotherly love.
Now that's Philadelphia.
Well, what's Washington?
A team without a quarterback.
And that was from 1994, and it's 2023 right now.
Dang, the same thing is still going on.
It is, man. And Grant Paulson put out a list of all the quarterbacks we have had since the year 2000. And I don't want to extend the podcast longer than an hour and a half. Let's just say, look at the YouTube, because you can see the list of names if I keep scrolling on here. And it goes all the way back to Brad Johnson. So
yeah.
All I can hope is, just like you, that the young man does well and doesn't get hurt or embarrass himself with a butt fumble or something like that.
Well, he better have some Red Bull to give him some wings.
Well, all he does is eat chicken. So he might have some wings before the game, and that might help him out.
I'm hoping he throws up like Willie Beeman. And he can make things happen. I like I said, man, I'm looking forward to this. I really am. I wasn't at first, but then again, I guess I look forward to any Commanders game. So
you kind of want the season to be over on our last show and wanted to get this thing over with.
That still stands, brother. Oh no, that still stands. But I can separate it. You know what I mean? I can think with my left brain and my right brain. So my left brain says, let's get out of here and pack our bags, go to Puerto Rico. But my right brain says, okay, Sam, show me what you got. Show me what you got. And he's going to show us in 3 days in a wake up.
So do you think he has anything to prove this week?
Oh, I definitely think he has something to prove, because here's the thing. If he wins the game, he can pop his collar and say, you guys should have given me a shot a long time ago, but you slept on me, which will put egg on the organization's face and Ron Rivera.
But that's already there. I mean, he's got a lot of egg on his face.
Put more egg then. How about that? The other thing is he's going out. He has everything. A 4:00 game is almost like a primetime game. It really is. For people who don't have DirecTV and the sports channel, you get the red zone. But you want to see as well what this kid can do. People wanted to see what Purdy could do, and they saw it. I think we first witnessed Purdy in a primetime game, or it was maybe the second game was a primetime game. But we saw him, and all eyes were on him. Well, now all eyes will be on Sam, and he's at home. He's playing in semi his crowd. So I wonder how many tickets he bought for his North Carolina crew or wherever he's from to come see him start.
I just found out.
I bet he is, though. So we need to check in and see what he's going to do for his fans to come support him.
Yeah, so, they asked him on the interview if he bought any tickets yet. He said he hasn't seen his phone, and he did not know until later on that he was actually starting. So he actually hasn't bought any tickets yet. But he's going to have to. And good news is the tickets still aren't unreasonable. I'm looking on StubHub. You've got lower level tickets in $129 for $136. I'm kind of shocked that they're that cheap. So I think Sam can afford that. He's a 5th round pick, so he doesn't really have a ton of cash. But club level, man, you got 2 club level seats for $143 right now each. But $143 for club level for the Cowboys game. Damn, we're going to get flooded, man, if these tickets are this cheap. But something, that is kind of curious. This is actually what Sam said on what he has to prove.
Generally, what do you hope to prove in your one game here before the season ends?
Yeah, I mean, I really try not to worry about what I have to prove to people. At the end of the day, I want to, prove to my teammates that I can do this job, and I just want to prove to them that I'm capable of playing in the NFL. And really, more than anything, I just want to prove it to myself. I know how hard I've worked my whole entire life to get this opportunity. So I just want to go out there and make the most of it.
And that's all we can ask for. This young man's been playing this game since he was a kid, and you get your dream to actually start an NFL game. I had a guy that I played high school football with that actually was drafted in the NFL, and then that actually got to play on the then Redskins. never took a snap, never did anything, but he still has that jersey, and he grew up in this area and went to high school right around here. So he'll always have that. And for Sam to actually have this chance, to start, because a lot of people projected Sam Howell to be a first-round pick. He dropped to the 5th. Now, this was a first round before that last season started, but based upon his arm, and this is Madden, but he actually has the strongest arm in the NFL at the beginning of the season, according to that. It's just, he's a short guy. Same thing with Heinicke. He's short, except he's got an arm. And this is kind of unfair because we asked our listeners earlier when that tweet went out that Rivera had decided to go with Heinicke. Do you agree? We got a couple text messages. So one that we got is from Mike from Hampton, Virginia. Mike, make sure to check out Santana Moss in February down there. I know Hampton's not too far from Vaughan Beach, but Mike said, I like what we're doing at quarterback this week, and let me tell you why. The thing would be to just start Howell and see what he's got. But after the season, we have to figure out quarterback and not just QB1. We have to figure out the entire QB depth chart. Maybe they want to see how TH responds to being benched in a big game. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think this is a job interview for Taylor for next season. I like a franchise quarterback, but I'd love to keep TH on the roster. And I believe the coaches would too. But let's see how he responds to adversity before making that call. Well, I don't understand the job interview. He's played a season and a half. He's played more than an entire football season. We know what Heinicke can do. That it was his job interview. And hopefully that interview was good enough for a different team. Now, I told you how I felt. I don't want to see Heinicke on this roster next year. What about you?
Well, there's a part of me that feels that Sam is going to be QB1 and Taylor's going to be QB2, the backup. That is what I feel. Now, granted, don't go by what the captain feels, but that could be a possibility. And he is interviewing basically Sunday. So if he kills it, they're going to put that quarterback talk to bed. And it'll be Sam and Taylor, since we know that Carson ain't coming back.
And the good news with that, the positive about that, if that scenario does come to fruition, that means we don't have to spend a draft pick on a quarterback. But more importantly, this coaching staff that is most likely going to be gone in 2024 will not have wasted a draft pick on a quarterback, because coaches that come in want to pick their own players. Bill Parcells, I want to pick the groceries. So if you have a coach that comes in that did not draft this guy, then they might not give him a fair shot. Now, the other flip side of that coin, Brian did not want Daniel Jones. This was the first year in that system with that new Giants head coach, and they've got the 6th seed in the playoffs. So it is doable to actually do bad one year, get a new coach, and then bounce back and go to the playoffs. The Giants are doing that right now. The Lions, are doing a damn good job. It's just right here in our own little hell, we don't have the proper personnel guys making that decision. So I hope you're right, man. I hope that is the case. So we get a chance to invest, because we need a new offensive line. We need linebackers. We need, some more depth in the secondary. There's a lot of things that this team needs. And this was actually a text that we got from another one of our listeners. And let's see, I think this is from Robin. She said here, start Heinicke. Let him receive a well-deserved starting bonus that let Wentz finish out the game.
Wentz?
And yeah, she said Wentz finish out the game. And I don't agree. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me about that, because number one, John Keim stated, if Carson Wentz gets hurt, he gets $4 million on his number next year. So Wentz is going to be inactive. Heinicke is the starter this week. Heinicke is the backup this week. Wentz should not even make it to FedEx Field, because the last thing we need is him to trip and a railing fall on him, and there's an injury settlement that's going to count against the cap.
Yeah, we need all the money that we can get, because we're going to see a revamped O-line I have a huge feeling about that. A huge, great feeling about a new O-line coming in.
I hope you're right, man, because there's a couple players on that offensive line that, are somewhat questionable. And this is, once again, for a podcast down the road, but, Charles Leno has not impressed me to end the season at all. And he's got a $12 million cap number next year, but I think they can cut him for $8 million and save several million on that cap. So there's a lot of different moves that they can make without having to risk potentially, giving some of these older guys some of that cash. And maybe Chris Paul coming in can do it. Maybe, Cornelius Lucas, having played some of these weeks, can show you. Sam Cosmi moving in at guard. So there's a lot of questions that we're going to have to help answer and also ask next season when we're talking about the Commanders. But who has to have that Woodbridge Collectibles signature player moment this week for us to win this game?
Well, it's going to be easy for me, Ted. The rookie. I'm putting the weight on his shoulders. No ifs, ands, buts about it. He touches the ball every play besides the center. So it's on him. He wanted it. Everybody wanted it. Make it happen.
I don't know about everybody. There were, I think, a couple of people on our poll that wanted Heinicke to start. Let me pull up the final numbers on that poll.
I mean, the majority of the people, of the people wanted him. So he's here. We got it. So let's do it. Make it do what it do, and play your best. So make your reads to the best of your ability. Read option, whatever you want to call it. I hope that he does well, because you know what? It'll also shut me up, Ted, because I was one of the ones, and the captain will eat some crow. All right. I don't have a problem eating crow. If he does well, I'll come back on the next show and say, hey, everybody, all right, my hands down to you. You guys got it. And I'm actually hoping that happens. I really am. Yeah. Now there's another part of me that you brought up a good point. Our draft status. I remember when we went to Miami a couple years back, they played just good enough to let us win. And their stock went completely down and ours went up. So I'm hoping that we played just enough, and I hate to say this, don't take this the wrong way, but I'm talking about draft picks here. I hope we play just enough to lose this game so that we can build through the draft at number 10.
I agree with you. I don't think that's up to the Commanders. I think that's up to the Cowboys. Realistically, I don't think that anything we do is going to get us a win this week based upon the names that I said at the beginning of the podcast who are out. No Brian Robinson is a gigantic blow to this offensive identity. The way we won those games, B-Rob had 15 or more carries, and we were 5-1-1. So not having him is massive. Not having John Allen in that middle to rush 4-1, not having Cam Curl and Benjamin St. Juste, and we'll talk about this on a future episode. Where did it go wrong? What happened for us to lose, 3 games in a row and tie 1 when we were 7-5? And, that's something for our listeners to think about. But
meltdown.
I've been trying to think of a signature player this week that has to give that performance for us to actually walk out of FedEx Field with a win. It's got to be Sam. There's no one else that can do it. And I hope that he does well. But more importantly, I hope that he shows and proves to all the other teams in the NFL, you passed me up and let me drop the 5th in the actual, round-wise. You passed me up. That kind of Gilbert Arenas chip on his shoulder for those that are, Wizards fans here. So he's got some things to potentially prove to others out there. And let's see if he's got the moxie that people like to say about Heinicke. Let's see if this kid can actually do it, because we typically preview the opponent, but this week isn't about the Cowboys. We know what the Cowboys are. And we know what they're coming in here to do. They've had 10 days off. So it's somewhat unfair that they've got 10 days off and they're coming here in a FedEx to play us when we're all bruised and battered. But hey, that's the NFL. But I am looking forward.
Play the game.
Exactly. I am looking forward, though, to being out there with you and the rest of our Burgundy and Gold brothers and sisters and rooting for Sonny Jurgensen to get his number retired and to hang out. And, you know, prediction-wise, I can't pick us to win this week. There's no way I can realistically do it. I think it's going to be a 28-12 game. And I'm hoping that once it gets to 28, the Cowboys take their foot off the gas because they realize that, hey, you know, these guys aren't fighting back as much and that they run the ball a ton. So we can just get that clock moving and then head into the offseason. But I just can't realistically pick us to win this week.
Yeah, neither can I. And it saddens me to say that. But this game will be one that everyone is looking at their watch saying, okay, let's go, come on. Especially if it starts to rain. People are going to leave in droves. If we're getting our butt kicked and it starts to rain, people are going to leave, except for the Dallas fans.
I was about to say that the 5,000 Commanders fans that are going to be there are going to leave. The Cowboys fans, it's like, I'm already planning my outfit for Sunday. I'm not wearing my Tailgate Ted Commanders jersey. I'm not wearing my Terry McLaurin or my Chase Young because I'm concerned about the atmosphere that's going to be in those stands. I'm concerned about those Cowboy fans getting a little too rowdy. And hey, I don't blame them. You go on the road and you know what it's like to win in enemy territory. I used to do the same thing and I would go crazy when my team was kicking another team's ass on the road. And that's part of the fun of being there. Now, granted, this isn't enemy territory for them because they come here all the time and do this to us, but you know, I'm just not looking forward to this game. I am not looking forward to the season being over because that means that, you know, we've got a whole offseason to have to worry about, but I am looking forward to seeing what the future holds for the DMV Mess Hall and for us down the road.
Definitely. And with that being said, a big shout out once again goes out to Woodbridge Collectibles. If you're not busy this Saturday, give them a shout. Check them out at Guy Fieri's Kitchen and Bar at the sports book below. And once again, another shout out, Woodbridge Collectibles. And to all of our listeners, we really do thank you guys. I mean, it means a lot when I'm walking through the store or the mall and the guy says, hey, Cap, I listened to you on the Mess Hall. It's like, wow, man, thanks. You know, it makes the world even smaller. So we already know it's a smaller place, but when you hear someone come up to you and they say, hey, I listened to your show, that means a lot. And so I want to give a big shout out to all of our listeners. And thank you guys for participating in emailing, tweeting, sending in the phone lines, voice messages, all that stuff, because without you, I mean, it'd just be me and Ted talking to each other. And I don't like Ted that much. No, I'm playing. but seriously, though, appreciate you guys. And I appreciate you repping it hard and not repping it at all. That's what I really do appreciate.
All right, guys. Once again, make sure, check us out, subscribe, like. We'll catch you all on Monday on the post-game recap. Take care.